Welcome to Nitpicking Nerds. Today we're going to answer one question for 10 different cards.
We're looking at a bunch of Commander staples and going, would I buy that?
I'm your host, Joe Cherries.
I'm your host, Beezy, and that makes us the Nitpicking Nerds, bringing you daily Magic the Gathering Commander format content. If you like all the content, you can support the channel by going to patreon.com. There's a link in the description.
Yes, and you can also go to tcgplayer.com where there's an affiliate link, and if you click on that link, guess what? You're buying the same Magic cards you were going to buy anyway, and guess what? We get a kickback, and it helps the channel grow, thrive, whatever. Was it verb, adjective? Whatever.
Two guess whats.
Yeah.
In one statement.
And guess what?
What?
We have a third link, an
What
affiliate link to dragonshield.com. You go to that one, you can buy the best sleeves in the multiverse, or good sleeves, as a lot of people do say. You buy those sleeves, and guess what? You're supporting the nerds, and you're getting the best sleeve in the multiverse.
Best way to buy cards. Best sleeves. So now you need the best Magic the Gathering content to go after that, because otherwise it's just a shout out. So this is looking at staples suggested by people in our Discord, and then answering the question, should you buy this? Should we buy this? Kind of like, what would we do? Is it worth it?
Yeah, is it worth it? So the first thing we got to start with is, this is always going to be, one, I have a deck for this card. So you have a deck, this card fits in well, you think it has a home in that deck. Not a house.
Same thing.
Yeah, same thing. I know it sounds weird though to say it as a house. Having a home in the deck. Also, you have the budget for it. You're able to spend, say a card is $28. You have $28 to spend on an individual Magic card. Those are the two caveats, obviously, because obviously if your budget's $10 and I say a $9 card, that's not going to be worth it for you if you're only on a $10 budget. Now, all of these suggestions come from our Discord. The first one was suggested by Janice, and it's Shieldred Whispering 1, and it is currently $9. This is actually for the cool Phyrexian one. It's the really cool Phyrexian one. It's only $9 currently, but is Shieldred worth it from a perspective of power? I would say no. This is not $9 powerful. I think this card is pretty weak for a 7-drop, and you could just do better. Obviously, if you think you can resolve Shieldred and have her survive a go or two around the table, she's insane. But that almost never happens, and she's such a big target for removal because she is a 7-drop. I don't think this card is very good. I think she is probably the worst of all the Praetors.
Yeah, she definitely might be, and it's going to be a no from me, dog, as well. I don't think Shieldred is anything special or that you can't get anywhere else. And I'm looking at, like, we just talked about budget bombs. Sepulchral Primordial is 50 cents, and it's better than this card, I think. So I just am going nowhere near it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. But I will say, from a coolness factor, $9 for that Phyrexian Shieldred, that's pretty worth it.
As a collector piece, it's worth it. But if you're going to play it as a game piece, I'm going to say no.
Yes, I agree completely. Next, I think this is Dylan G, or it's Dylan NG.
Or Delange.
Or Delange. Yeah, they suggest Pathbreaker ibex, which is $26. This one is super interesting. I have this in a deck. It performs well in that deck. But is it worth $26? Probably not overall. You can usually just buy Overwhelming Stampede and get nearly the same effect for about 50 cents. Now, if you're really on a super high budget, yeah, I would say you can buy this because it does perform well, especially if you have haste enablers within your deck. But it's not worth $26. So I'm going to say no, don't buy it for $26.
If you're on a super high budget, is Craterhoof just better? And then, in that case, Craterhoof plus Overwhelming Stampede, how many more do you need? Or if we have ways to, like, Xenagos our creatures already, if we're in, like, some stompy deck, we can maybe just find ways to go bigger. I feel like it's in that awkward middle ground where it's not a high power card, I don't think. It's not a budget card, so, like, where is it supposed to go? It feels like it's obviously better than Grave Titan, but it feels like it's in the same zone of, like, where am I supposed to play this?
Yeah, and I disagree a little bit. Like, if you have a deck that's a stompy deck that cares about big powers but isn't going incredibly wide, this card is very good, especially when you care about the creature body, and your decks like that are usually going to care about creature body. Obviously, I'm still out for $26. I think that's just too much, but I do think this card has homes where it fits.
Yeah, but you have to go wide. You still have to go wide. Well, otherwise, it doesn't do anything.
You have to go like 3 creatures wide because
it's like a cup. That's a neat bonus, but it's only across 3 creatures doesn't excite me too much.
I mean, +14 over 3 creatures is pretty insane.
Yeah, but I want it over like A bunch of creatures.
Yeah, I mean, it goes over your mana dorks and all that stuff. But again, yeah, I'm not arguing that Crater Roof isn't a better Magic card. It's a much better Magic card, and it is worth the money. Ibex is $26 and not worth the money, so it's like I think we're around the same page here.
Yeah.
It's just I think it's slightly better than you do.
I'm a little less apt to purchase it. Next, Lazy Filthy Stacks Lover, okay, self-proclaimed there, is suggesting Collector Oof, $6. Is that worth buying? I want to say resounding yes from me because this card shuts down entire decks. It is so in some instances, a must-kill roadblock before the next player wants to take any game actions against you because you're shutting off all their mana interaction, and you're a green deck. You have to be. This is a green card. You don't even care about mana rocks. You don't care at all.
Yeah, and as long as you're not some green deck that's relying on artifacts, they do exist. This card is great. It goes in almost any green deck. It's a creature. I mean, in green, having green and black, having things be creatures is so much more powerful because there's Beast Whisperer, there's Guardian Project in green, and then like in black there's other stuff.
And white.
And white.
Yeah, Mentor the Meek, Welcoming Vampire, all that stuff.
Yeah, you're right. So most colors besides blue and red want you to have these creatures, and because of that, something like Collector Oof being a creature instead of an enchantment like Stony Silence makes it so much better. You can also search this up with your Fidelity of Devastations, your Green Sun Zeniths,
Court of Calling, instant speed,
your Court of Callings. All of these cards are just completely great. The cool thing about all those searching up effects, you get to do the gotcha, because if they have like 4 mana rocks on tap and they say that resolves. Okay, Collector Oof. All right, you're stuck.
You don't get to use them.
You don't get to use them, and you have no chance to respond now.
Hilarious.
Up next, Henri suggests Mana Echoes for $14. This says when a creature enters, for each creature it shares a type with on your side of the battlefield, you get mana. If you have a deck for this, which is the caveat for the whole video, this card is bonkers. And yes, it is absolutely worth $14 because the decks it goes in, it is worth being a non-creature in your creature deck. That's how crazy good this card is.
Yeah, it's an amazing tribal payoff. Some certain commanders go berserk with it, like Locust God. Well, you're always going to make locusts or insects, whatever they're called, and a Mana Echo is just going to go ham. There's a million ways to take advantage of it in like a really advantageous way. 100% yes.
Yeah,
Get this in your tribal decks.
Yeah, exactly. It's amazing. Cranko, activate Cranko, just, oh my god, all the goblins see each other entering. It's so much mana. This card is bonkers. Like, we don't even have to talk about it anymore. Buy Mana Echoes if you have a deck for Mana Echoes right now.
If you got tribal decks, get them in there.
Yeah. What's next, BZ?
Nanoronus, good old Nanoronus, who I thought was dead. Growing Rights of Lemak is their card at $20. I feel like this was higher before, and then it kind of fell down. It impulses for creature, and then it turns into Gaia's Cradle if you have 4 creatures, which is pretty easy to do. It's a nice card. I think for 20, I'm ready to pull the trigger on this.
It's super close. I think 20 is like trending toward the out of range where I don't want to buy this. But I think $20 is a good price, and I would buy Growing Rights of Lemak. If you can't afford a Gaia's Cradle, this is a solid replacement for it. This card is just good, and sometimes even in decks with Gaia Cradle, if your creature count's high enough, it's just good enough to play alongside Gaia's Cradle.
There's games where it's better, and that's not something a lot of cards can say. So I think for $20, it's a solid pickup. You can't really find it like you can find a Gaia's Cradle. Like, it's an enchantment. It's not a land, so it's really hard to search for in green. But you can get there. It's just a card you can draw and be really happy about. It is a non-creature in your creature decks, but I think it's going to end up pulling its weight for the most part.
Fun fact, green has zero ways to search for enchantments.
Straight up 0.
I looked for any one that existed because I had a Food Chain combo in my Golta deck. I'm like, well, if I can get Food Chain more often, maybe I can combo. Nope. It just does. They just don't exist. Literally can't do it.
Closest you get is like Commune with the Gods and Crew Fixes Insight, where they look at the top for enchantments. That's the closest you get.
That's not a tutor.
Nope.
All right. Moving on. Watchman suggests Dramath Magistrate, which is $7. I want to say this one is not worth it overall. This card is okay, and in certain decks it can be good, but even in decks that might want this, I can see just excluding it because it's just whatever.
I think it's a good card. I mean, I'm going to say it's worth it. If you have a deck that is interested in slowing other decks down, this is one of the better ways to do it. Man, people were comparing this card to Washout. I think Washout is terrible, overhyped, and won't be talked about a month from now by anyone. But Dramath Magistrate is static. It is a consistent effect. You don't have to put any mana into it. You just put it down, and now people can't play their commanders with some slight marginal upside that I'm not really even taking into consideration. It's just a nice way to slow down decks for 2 mana, solid creature, and it's not really... It is replaceable in the sense that you could just put any one of the hate bears in there, but you have some money to throw around. This is one of the better hate bears.
Sure. I mean, I'm still going to say no. I don't think Dramath Magistrate's really worth $7. I think the effect is narrow and just okay. But the fact that it isn't symmetrical is very helpful.
Nice and spicy. No Cry 4999 is a username, and they want to know if Survival of the Fittest is worth picking up for the low price of $252. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to sway me to a $252 card. I own a Survival. I got it from a friend when it was like $40. Is beat up to heck, and he gave it to me for free. Would I have a Survival right now if I wanted one? No.
This is, I think I disagree with you. If you have the budget, then you I'm just going to return to the premise of the video. You actively have to have the budget for this card, and it's not going to hurt your wallet. It's not going to hurt you. And now you have a deck for it. It's worth $250. This card is $250 good.
It is $250 good. I guess I'm not thinking of I have $252 to set on fire, but if you do, it's not really setting on fire. You're putting it into a Magic card. If you do, yeah, this card's going to perform about that good. It's pretty stupid.
Yeah.
Fauna Shaman's a budget replacement. I think you could hold off on it, but it will make your deck better. I feel like this one's in the middle for me. I could completely believe either one.
I'm just on a hard yes because it's so good, and if you it's all about the premise of the video, right? Where if you have this money to, like you said, I like the term, set it on fire. You're throwing it at this Magic card that is $250. I'm in because this card is insane. Every time you draw it when you play your Karadoor deck, you just win because how can you not win? This card is stupid.
Yeah, if you're in a combo deck, especially something more high power, you really can't lose if this is on the battlefield. It's not a fun, goofy toolbox card. It's like discard my reanimate target, go find Karmic Guide, reanimate it, win the game. That type of thing. Yep. It's not actually what it looks like. It's not Birthing Pod, and it's definitely not Fauna Shaman. This is one of the best Magic cards ever printed.
Yeah, literally one of the best Magic cards ever printed. Up next, we have Festive Umbra, and he suggests Whip of Arabos at $7. I saw this suggested by two people, actually. I can't remember the other one. But Festive Umbra was the first one to suggest it. I want to say it's not worth it. Whip of Arabos is an okay Magic card, and it fits in very lower power decks, and it has a decent effect. The 4 mana to play, 4 mana to activate is a lot. That's 8 mana to reanimate for 1 turn. It has haste. Then now we're looking at 4 mana ecstatic ability for my creatures to have lifelink. I just don't think it's worth it. I don't think $7 is worth with Arabos. It's not a powerful enough Magic card.
How am I supposed to get my card back when for the first couple turns, I only have lifelink to add to my creatures? If I'm in a life gain deck, some of them have lifelink anyway, so I'm not adding lifelink to all my creatures. It seems like you either don't care about lifelink or you don't care about Reanimator. And if you care about Reanimator, this card sucks. There's so many better rates to get. Reanimate, Animate Dead. Let's look at those first before I'm even touching Ripple of Arabos. I think for $7, this feels like it should be like a 50-cent, scrappy budget card. I don't think this is a $7 good card.
Yeah, I don't think it's close to $7 good either. Next, Spoon suggests Anointed Procession at $37. This one is worth it. It's weird because I always think when I see these cards, when I see Survival of the Fittest and I see Parallel Lives, I think those are some overpriced Magic cards. But it turns out they're really insane, and the decks they're made for really, 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 really lean on these cards, and they're great. $37 is worth it. Is it a lot? Yeah, it's a lot for this card, and I wish it was less, but I think if you have the deck for it, $37, I'm in for Anointed Possession.
The effect isn't replaceable. There's no $2 version of this, so you either
New Kaya.
Yeah, that card's going to be 50 cents. That's a real stinky one. There's no good budget version of this. It's not going to, and even if there was, which there kind of was for a minute with Primal Vigor, it just shot right up because this effect is so high demand. So if you're a token deck, I think you want Parallel Lives and Anointed Possession.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that these cards are so expensive, but I think it's because they're so good and the strategies are so popular. I think that's just what it comes down to.
I think in the higher power stuff, these like Panharmonicons and the Anointed Processions, they start to fall off a bit, or you'd rather just make some tokens, win the game faster. But if you're not ending the game very quickly, this is a good way to go.
I think a tokens deck is usually not super high power because you can't go above a 9. Maybe even you can't get to a 9 because tokens are like such a niche thing. But because of that, I think all token decks basically want Anointed Possession.
There's also, in the third category, Anointed Possession could help some token decks go infinite.
That's true. There's also a bunch.
Figure out which one you are.
This has a ton of infinite combos. You're right. Lastly, Sure Lash or Sire Lash, Filthy Casual, self-anointed, suggests Oracle of Moldiah at $17. Now, Oracle of Moldiah reached up to like $34 a few years back.
I thought it was $40.
Or it was crazy. It was
like $39.99.
Like $30, $40, and I was off the train. I'm like, Oracle of Moldiah is good, Very strong card, but for $40, I'm not in. $17, I'm in. This card's really strong. I mean, it's tough to replace this card because of how strong it actually is. Yeah, when we're at $40, I'd rather probably buy $40 worth of Magic cards and improve my deck more. I think for $40, I can improve my deck more with like getting a bunch of other stapley cards and putting them in there. But at $17, now I'm in. For $17, there's probably not much more I can do to improve my deck than put this in it.
It's a pretty reasonable rate. I mean, let's go back to the 40. If right now it was 40, and I have a landfall deck, obviously I'm playing Oracle. Would I rather have 2 fetch lands or an Oracle? Give me 2 fetch lands. That is like way going to power up my deck more than 1 Oracle. But at 17, you start getting to like, okay, Oracle or 1 fetch land? Like, I'm not sure. I think I'd still go with the fetch land, but I think you want to spend 17 on Oracle. I think it's also going to creep back up, too. There's that to consider.
Yeah, Oracle and Moldiah was reprinted maybe 6 months ago, so it brought it back. It brought it way down. Jumpstart.
Was it in like Commander Collection Green? No, I don't think it was.
No, it wasn't. So it was in Jumpstart, and Jumpstart brought it down a decent amount, and now we're here at $17. I think it is a $17 Magic card. I actually think that cards like this have come down in price because of the trending, more competitive nature that Commander has been gaining, where it's like more people are playing more competitively, and this isn't a very competitive card, but it is still very strong.
It's why Dramath Magistrate is $7. It's why Survival of the Fittest is $250, because those are like the strong ones here, and even Collector Roof. These cards, like Collector Roof, was open on a like just massive, ridiculous scale, and it's still $6, despite seeing play almost nowhere except maybe one of Modern sideboards and EDH.
Yeah, exactly. But that is our video. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Special shout outs to... Oh, you hit your mic.
I also was pointing a gun accidentally at the patrons.
Don't pointing. No pointing guns at the patrons.
Finger pointing at the patrons.
Special shout outs to all of our patrons. We love you all as much as we can without making you uncomfortable.
Would never shoot you. Yep. Literally or accidentally on a camera.
Or literally or figuratively, we would never shoot you.
Don't misinterpret my accidental... gun. There's also a link in the description. If you don't care that I pointed a gun at patrons, you can go there and support us on Patreon, or use the TCG Player link, buy your favorite Magic cards, and then just support us almost through TCG Player, because they're going to give us a little bonus, no extra charge for you.
Same thing with Dragon Shields. They're the best sleeves in the multiverse. Good sleeves.
Good sleeves.
Good sleeves. So if you want those good sleeves, you can go to that website, buy those awesome sleeves. Guess what? You're supporting the nerds while buying awesome sleeves. Now that's perfect for you.
If you like value at all, you'd be throwing it away if you're not doing these things. These are just free roll Value Town slips for you. Cash in every video.
Okay. I guess tip it about our lives.
Got something?
I mean, you were mentioning guns. I've never shot a gun in my life. I might never shoot a gun in my life.
I've never shot a gun either. My dad did have a gun phase where he kind of went like, I'm gonna protect my family, and just like had a gun for no reason.
Dang,
and then like
he would turn Southern also.
Yeah, that was an accent. I just picked any random accent for that one.
Oh yeah.
He like would go to gun ranges and shoot his gun, and I'm like, what are you doing? And now he just doesn't use it anymore. So I don't know.
Does your dad own a gun?
He bought a gun. Is what I'm saying. He bought a gun. He bought a safe. He spent probably like a couple grand on the whole thing.
Well, I didn't know if he had kept the gun. I
think he still has it. I don't know.
It's
definitely a phase. He definitely had a phase.
One of my sister's exes had a gun, and it made me uncomfortable.
I'm never going to be comfortable around a gun.
I'm never... He had it, like, it wasn't loaded or anything, but he had it out on the counter and cleaning it. That made me uncomfortable.
Jeez. Yeah, I mean, it is a weapon that only kills things, so I'm just not going to mess with it. That's not for me.
It has no other real function except for killing things.
You could use it as, like, maybe a hammer. You've got the end. You just...
In movies...
bang against the wall. And in movies, if you touch anyone with any part of a gun, they are unconscious permanently until you want them to wake up. Oh, you hit them in the back of the head. You hit them in the front of the head. You hit them in the toe. You knock their toenail off with your gun, and they're going to get knocked out.
I've never seen the toenail.
That was in Jason Bourne 3. Jeez. Born to be Wild.
Can't beat that joke. Peace out, Tribe Scouts.